Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. Listen, a few weeks ago, I was at a customer's house. He called me because he had a leak on the return lines of his steam boiler. There were a couple of nipples and fittings leaking, so I went there, I took care of it. As I was cleaning up, I noticed on his hot water heater where the copper water supply connected to the factory installed nipple coming out of the heater, it was actually leaking. And I said, you might want to keep an eye on this because it's something that could start to get worse. So just be diligent. Well, he said he was going to be going away at the end of December, and he doesn't want to be worrying about, a leak happening while he's away. And I asked him, how old is this heater? And I was blown away when he told me it was 20 plus years old. I looked at the rating tag, and sure enough, it was like over 20 years old. The other thing that kind of perplexed me was it was a 75-gallon heater. This is a small two-family home, 5 people in the entire home. So I said, you know what? I think this is a little overkill. I think at the time his parents had this heater installed. He wasn't too sure as to why they went so big. But the challenge in this particular job was they did some renovating down the basement, had all new doors put in. And these doorways were very, very small, like doorstop to doorstop. We had 23-inch openings. Now, this 75-gallon heater was 24 inches in diameter, so obviously it wasn't going out the door. And I don't think Thomas was too keen on removing the newly installed doors to get it out, and we couldn't get it out the back. So our choice was to leave it there, which I've done in some commercial applications, or cut it up into pieces. So we decided that we were going to cut the heater up in order to get it out. So that's what we did. We're going to replace it with a high recovery 50-gallon gas water heater. In this particular video, I incorporated the help of my longtime friend and auto mechanic who serviced all my plumbing vehicles and my personal vehicles for the past 30 plus years. And this one I needed assistance because frankly, I'm getting too old to do jobs like this by myself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Check it out. You'll see the process, what we did in order to get the old heater out. And 75-gallon heater in a two-family house, I think is a little overkill. But anyway, stay tuned, watch the video, and I hope you enjoy the process. And there's my man, Tom. We're draining the tank. I got a transfer pump on there. By the way, Tom was my auto mechanic for 30 plus years. He serviced all my work vehicles, all my personal vehicles. And Tommy was fortunate enough to retire about 7 years ago. But he likes to mix it up and go to work once in a while to keep fresh, keep his body in shape. So I said, Tom, I got a job. I'm going to need your help. And now the challenge was trying to get this 24-inch diameter 75-gallon water heater through a 23-inch opening. So doorstop to doorstop, the exit door to the boiler room was 23 inches. There was a door to the rear, but the homeowner said to me, there's no access. You can't get it out the rear. So, the choice was going to be leave the tank down there, cut it up in pieces, and we chose to cut it up in pieces. We don't want to leave that tank down there. So here we are, or here Tom is with the grinder getting to work. And we were going to surgically remove this jacket and see, how thick the insulation was, and possibly hope that once we got the insulation off, we'd be able to get it through this doorway. Now, this was a brand new installed door, and I wasn't about to take the doorstop off. And I said to the homeowner, if you want to have the door removed, but he wasn't too keen on doing that. So I said, we'll do our best. And here you can see he made one slice. And it just, just taking our time and doing it a piece at a time. I had to put a new ball valve up top for the cold water supply. There was an old gate valve on there. I wanted to remove it before we moved any further. And so we just kept moving forward. And, we're going to continue to cut this jacket and see if we can get it off and see what we find underneath. So there he is making another cut, and we're stripping this off, in pieces. As he's taking off the pieces, I'm taking the pieces and putting them outside. I have a rubbish removal guy coming
to actually take the old heater when we get this all outside. And yeah, so it's like I said, we were doing it slowly, and you're going to see him stripping the foam insulation off in this next frame. And as he was stripping it off, I was sweeping it up, putting it in plastic bags. It's just one of those things you got to do slowly and go at it. And hopefully, once we got all this off, we were going to try to determine, what the diameter was without the insulation on it. And Tommy came up with a great idea, which you'll see coming up. But I wanted to show you after we got everything off here, you'll see the two original factory installed dielectric nipples coming out of this heater. You wonder how they got good pressure. I mean, look at it. That's not supposed to happen with dielectric nipples, but there was copper connected to it, and that's not supposed to happen. It'll usually happen if you have brass, but in this case, they got all crudded up. Anyway, so Tom came up with this great idea. He says, let me go get some painter's tape and we'll wrap painter's tape around the heater here. And he marked it off, and then we pulled the tape off. And the tape was 71 1/4 inches. And we did some quick calculations. We wanted to convert from circumference to diameter. That number came out to be, I believe, 22.68. We got a 23-inch door opening. The heater went out. We didn't have to cut it up. Thank God. Anyway, here's a new one. We're starting to prep this. And on this one, I'm putting a flood stop automatic shut-off valve on this heater. And also we're putting the heater inside of a catch pan. And even though the pan has like a drain on it, there's a flat sensor that sits in there. And that, as soon as that gets wet, that valve shuts off, and I'm not worried about water coming out that drain. It's just not a concern of mine. But yeah, like I said, I was doing the soldering, and he was following up. He was cleaning fittings. He was cleaning up, getting ahead of me. So I was rattling off measurements to him, and like I said, he would go in the next room, clean, prep everything for me, and I would do the soldering. And it's just I was so happy we didn't have to tank the tank out, because as it were, as it was, we were here all day. We were here from like 8:30 in the morning. We didn't finish till 5 o'clock at night, and we didn't stop for lunch or anything. We just kept going. And I know I'm going to get slammed for that gas line not having a drip leg, but sit tight. You'll see that in a minute. So there's the flood stop. And what happened, I was walking by the heater and some water was leaking out the cold water union. I hadn't tightened it down all the way, and so some of the water went over the side. So that's the water you're going to see in this frame here, dripping down the sides. But I tightened it, and we got a rag and we cleaned everything up. And now the valve is open, in the open position, and we have the sensor that's going down into the pan. And they're all set, because I believe, were going to go away for Christmas vacation, and they didn't want to be worried about water leaking. They didn't want to have that stress in their life. And I says, listen, you'll be good to go. And as far as the drip leg goes, a few years ago, I did an inspection job, and the inspector told me to take the drip leg out. So this little excerpt is from the New York City Fuel and Gas Code. And it says no drips permitted. And, I've been doing it that way since the inspector told me, if you don't take the drip out, I'm not going to pass the job. Go figure. Do I agree with it? No, but I kind of like to keep with what the code says. Anyway, we have that unit plugged in electrically. Actually, the homeowner went out and bought a 15-foot extension cord, and you'll see that. And we just tacked it up underneath that cabinet. So that's plugged in. In addition, there are batteries in there. There are 4 AA batteries as a battery backup. So we're covered in that respect, in terms of, him worrying about the electric going out. And here is the job, complete. Now it's just a matter of, we had a lot of cleaning up to do. It was a long day, but a successful day. And I think he's going to be very happy. Now, this is a high recovery 50-gallon water heater. There's like 5 people in the house. He's going to have more than enough hot water to suffice for the amount of people that are there. I was like perplexed as to why there was a 75-gallon heater in there, which was a little overkill. But I guess at the time, when they put it in, they wanted to be sure. And anyway, yeah, so this is the job, another one in the books, so to speak. And now it's a matter of packing everything up and getting in the truck and going home. And Tom, by the way, is my neighbor. He lives 3 blocks from me. So we got in the truck and proceeded to go over the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. And lo and behold, yep, you guessed it, another hour of traffic. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed what you're seeing, you might consider subscribing to the channel. You might want to hit that like button, and also keep an eye out for a video that's going to be popping up coming here. YouTube thought you might like to see it. And as always, guys, I appreciate you watching the videos. Stay well. And as always, happy plumbing, guys. See you again next year.